I'm John Hall from the University of Mississippi Medical Center, and I'm here with Dr. Jane Reckelhoff, Billy S. Guyton Distinguished Professor from the University of Mississippi, and also Director of the Women's Health Research Center. Dr. Reckelhoff is this year's award winner of the Harriet Dustan Award. Harriet Dustan, of course, was one of our distinguished members of the American Heart Association and known for her outstanding research as well as for her mentoring capabilities and mentoring activities in the American Heart Association. Dr. Reckelhoff, tell us how you got involved in hypertension research, a little bit about your background and what you're currently working on.
Okay. So this is a real honor for me to receive the Dustan Award this year. Dr. Dustan was such a good role model for women and scientists in general. But so I started in hypertension research. Actually, I did a postdoc with Christine Bayless, and she taught me how to be a renal physiologist. And that's how I started getting involved or interested in hypertension. Then when I came to Jackson, Jackson is the mecca for hypertension research. And so I started collaborating with investigators there and got more interested in hypertension. And when I was working with Dr. Bayless, we were studying sex and gender differences and pregnancy. And so I carried those studies into the study of hypertension, and that's how I became interested in hypertension.
Well, one of the interesting things or important things about your work is that now a lot of people don't recognize how important cardiovascular disease is in women. In fact, some polls from the American Heart Association suggested that less than 50% of women recognize that cardiovascular disease is their main threat to their health. How does your work relate to women's health in particular and cardiovascular disease in women in particular?
Well, we're very interested in that, and yes, you're right. It's surprising that women don't realize that cardiovascular disease is the major cause of mortality in women. And so what we're trying to do is to determine what the mechanisms are by which hypertension is caused in women, particularly women who are postmenopausal, who have such a high incidence of hypertension and cardiovascular disease. And of course, Dr. Hall, you know that hypertension is one of the major risk factors for cardiovascular disease. And it's interesting that women, particularly postmenopausal women, there are a number of studies now that show that their hypertension is not as well controlled as in men. So we're trying to figure out why it is that they are hypertensive, and if the reasons why they're hypertensive are different than in men, then that's very exciting as far as we're concerned, and we're hoping that we can determine what they are and then perhaps influence therapeutics in the future.
Well, Dr. Reckelhoff is also being given this award in part for her mentoring skills and the influence she's had, tremendous influence on a lot of young people. Can you tell us what you think are sort of the most important things that you would advise young people about careers in research?
Well, there's a lot of negativity out there right now with the funding situation with NIH and other foundations. And so what I try and tell young investigators is very simple. You have to work hard, you have to study hard, you have to have a plan. You need to have a 5-year plan. You need to know where you want to be in 5 years, and you have to have those as goals that are measurable and that you can follow. I think it's important that you get mentors that can help you at each stage of your career. And I also think it's important that you collaborate with other investigators, because science is getting much more complicated, and it's not like in the old days when perhaps you and I started, where we could do all the experiments that we needed to do in our laboratory. Now science is getting much more complicated, and diseases are more complicated. And so in order to understand those diseases, we have to collaborate with other investigators that have other techniques and methods that we can study. And then I think that you need to have a positive attitude. Dr. Hall always says, think that you're lucky. And that's true, because it will permeate your whole attitude toward your career and research in your life, actually.
Well, Doctor, I'm not sure I appreciate the comment about old timers, but anyway, congratulations again on your award this year. We really appreciated all the things you've done for the American Heart Association, for our medical center, and I appreciate all the work that you do for our department. So congratulations.
Thank you very much.